Good morning and welcome to another episode of Moms in Real Estate in the Morning. I'm so excited. We were going to have Taylor, our partner, here, but I'm equally excited to have our partner Kayla here. So if you don't know Kayla Adamson, you have been missing out. Not only is she one of our partners here at Moms in Real Estate, but I would say she's probably one of our absolute top contributors, and she's always pouring in and inspiring. And we're excited to be here together and just kind of talk all about listings this morning. Hi, Chris.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Listings are my superpower, so I'm excited to have this conversation with everyone today.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. I was actually just in my own, so Kayla and I are both still in production. And I was kind of interested because, I mean, I've always done probably 50-50. But fun fact, year to date, I've not closed on any buyers. It's been all listings. And that, like, I don't, like, that's never happened. I've never had an entire quarter. I've always had like 50% buyers. But right now, for whatever reason, you know, I'm listing heavy. And so I really want to talk about that because over the last 30 to 60 days, we've been seeing kind of a very clear shift happening both nationally and in my market. And so I want to talk about that because we're definitely seeing like recalibration, and it's interesting to see that. So how's your market looking?
Absolutely. I'm on the East Coast of Florida. I'm excited for this market. We are finally seeing a shift. We're seeing a pickup. We're seeing more and more activity, which I'm super grateful for. I am always listing heavy, which is not fun when the market is slow. No, carrying listings is an expense, a monthly expense. And when you start getting like 15, 18, 19 listings and none of them are moving, you're a little like, what am I doing here? But it has been like overnight the last 2 weeks, contract after contract, and movement is here. I'm excited for the summer market.
Yeah, 100%. So I love that. I will tell you, probably like 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, I had a partner and like her and I would go back and forth because I loved buyers. They were like my thing. They were my jam. And she loves sellers. And so we'd always go back and forth and which ones are better. And it's funny because just this last couple months, I've been doing a lot of traveling for my other companies. And I've been thinking exactly that. There is a cost to carrying them and there's an investment you're making in that. But simultaneously, you know, when listings are positioned correctly and they're priced, the offers still do come. And so it's been like I was in Florida, I was in Miami on Friday, and I put two new listings in escrow, and I was like, yes, okay. So there is leverage. So there is true leverage on having a listing side. Kind of what I'm seeing is like the top 20% of listings are still selling pretty quickly. The ones that are coming to the market prepared, you know, correctly, right? And the bottom 80% are, you know, they're sitting a little bit, right? In my personal market, I think it's something like over 50%, maybe even over 58% are selling for under list. What are you seeing as far as that goes?
Almost identical. We still have, which is very interesting. I was at a listing appointment yesterday, and our county has a 98.7% list to sold price ratio. So that tells us like across the board in our county, listings are still selling about 98% to list price, which is amazing. That's really good. So we say that overpricing a listing is the kiss of death in this market, but it's exciting to see that that's happening a very small percentage of time. So with the proper education with the seller, handling the proper conversations, we can still have sellers entering the market correctly.
100%. When I think that overpricing is being exposed very quickly. So it's exposed really quickly. And it's one of those things where if you can get your seller's expectations in the right place, like you don't even have to go that route. But if you do have a seller, because let's be honest, we do have sellers. One of the gaps that we're still seeing is seller expectations. And so if you do have a seller, I was just talking to one of my agents about this, and there was a seller that just had unrealistic expectations. And I was like, okay, there's, you know, I'm not saying don't take the listing. I'm saying you have to make sure you do the right framework and the right conversation so that they understand that as soon as the market exposes that the overpricing isn't working, you already know and have your game plan for price correction, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I honestly think sellers want the expertise from the agents. The listing appointment I went on yesterday, the seller has been on the market for over a year,
Oh man.
finally wanting to hire a new realtor. And I immediately told him before driving there, I called him and I said, I would need you to drop 125,000 off your list price for us to even have a listing conversation. Are you willing to do that? And he said, yes, you're the only agent that has positioned this before even coming. Like they don't want to be told what they want to hear anymore. They want the statistics and what's going to get their home sold.
Yeah. Well, and I think that just kind of goes back to the fact that the market is not forgiving bad pricing or lazy marketing anymore, right? It's not forgiving. That's not the
No.
market that we're in. And so we've had like a noticeable increase of active listings, and we're seeing a little bit more competition. Of course, our median has continued to creep up. So anything under like the $600,000 mark usually still has more competition. Or is that kind of what you're seeing too? Like that entry price level still has more competition?
For sure, except ours is under 300.
Which is wild to me. It is so wild.
It is.
Like you're in Florida with like sandy beaches and sunshine, and I'm looking out the window at like a mountain full of sagebrush and dust,
Yeah.
and that our price points. It's just wild. Like I was talking to somebody else yesterday just about Reno. Who was it? It was somebody that had, it was at a baby shower. They moved away and they bought in Las Vegas. And they were also telling me how they just bought their first home in Las Vegas at like 340,000. And I'm like, I can't, like, there are inventory at under 340,000. Like we're talking a condo or a townhouse, like, or we're talking an outlying area. We're not talking a city. So it is wild. And I think that's one thing that you need to remember when you are, serving sellers is you have to remember that there is, like if I was to look at Reno, as one market, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's so many hyper local markets. And so I think it's so important to be aware. And this is another area. So I would love to hear this about your business. Are you niching down and like becoming an expert in like 3 or 4 areas, or are you still going wide?
I go wide. I cover my entire county, which is about an hour each way from my house. Only because I have a micro team now. There's 5 of us total. So, I have my girl who's on the north end of the county. I have my girl who likes the south end of the county. And then 3 of us are really central. So we built it very strategically to where we could have that saturation. When I was by myself, I definitely more so preferred a little bit more of a central footprint just to save my own sanity.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I think the biggest thing that you just said is like the intentionality, like you're intentionally able to do that and you have a game plan on how you do that. And so one mistake I see agents make is, and I understand where it comes from, especially as a mom. And, when I built my business in 2010, I found myself like temporarily separated. I was the sole income. I didn't know how, and I didn't just have my own kids. I thought it'd be great to adopt and to foster. And so I all of a sudden have 7 kids. And I'm like, I have no idea where how I'm paying rent this month. And so I know firsthand like that need to like say yes and like jump into any opportunity. But I also know firsthand how quickly that can deplete you and how that can drop your margins. And so one thing I would want to share with our moms that as you're building your listing inventory, make sure you are aware of where your strengths are, and not just in geographic, but also in property types. I've made the mistake of taking a property that was out of my wheelhouse that I didn't understand. And there is so much power. And right now there's so much opportunity if you can find 2 or 3 people that are opposite of your niche and you can do referral deals together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I'm that way I'm not a luxury agent. I'll say it. I mean, you can look at my Instagram and tell I'm not a luxury agent. But, someone else on my team, Nikki, who lives in Vieira, will make her our luxury agent. It's not for me. I don't like having the conversations. I don't like the pressure. And it's absolutely not for me. Like 1.3 and under is my wheelhouse 1,000,000%. And I'm slinging like 6, 7 closings a month at 250. And that works for me. For me.
And that goes back to like one of our core principles at like in building moms in real estate is like build a business that is life giving. And so it's funny, I have to chuckle a little bit because when you say that, like I get it. So I am kind of in my own way. I'm like, all right, I'll go into luxury, and by luxury I mean ranch and like big ranches and farms and farm and ranch.
Be there, I'll be there.
So, but I have to chuckle because Jordy, my daughter is my business partner. And the other day she was like, if you take one more land listing that we are going to profit on, I'm going to kill you. Like she's like, and so my granddaughter asked me the other day, so Maya is like heavily, in the business. She's like, Grandma, what's the least house you ever sold? And Jordy was like, let me tell you about the time Grandma took this land parcel and we had to sell it.
You had to pay to sell it.
Yeah, because the terms and the way it all broke down, and once it wasn't not even our cost of acquisition was factored in, like it was it was still just like we were writing a check. So I get that, like, but it's because land excites me, and I will tell you, and so I am not by any means saying go out there and get deals that cost you, but I am. That lit a fire on me when I went out and I like walked that land. And I found out the history, and I found out about like the first female ranchers that were in that market. I was like so freaking excited that from that point on, I was like, I knew I wanted more of that land. And so I think what you said was really powerful. Like, exactly what your wheelhouse is. And because you're so comfortable, you're probably showing. And the reason you're able to call and say, hey, listen, before I drive out there, I need you to drop 120 grand is because you're passionate and you're confident about what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yep. And you just have to have the conversations up front and know who you are, just like you're saying, and what you're comfortable with, so that you don't sound uncomfortable when you're trying to set an expectation or explain something to, because that could be sensed even over the phone.
Oh, yeah. 100%. So I would say biggest seller mistakes right now is pricing based off of even early 2024 comps, right? Just
for sure.
Right?
Yeah, overpricing and then not prepping the listing. Like the days of not needing to clean the house and make sure it doesn't stink or pre-pack half of the junk and get it out. Yeah. I create a customized market ready checklist for every single seller. I'm like, we got to get your stuff out of here. I even have my sellers change their bedding to a neutral color bedding so that the listing photos aren't distracting. You can't have like a space pattern and here's a Barbie room and here's Mario Kart. Like, no, I love your kids, but we got to minimize this.
100%.
Neutralize it. So,
I would agree that, and also, the testing the market price strategy, this is not the market for that. That is not. And so again, if you do have a seller out there that, and I always go over 3 price points, right? I go over our fire sale price because, every once in a while you do have somebody that's like, I need a quick sell for whatever. Cause on the flip side, I am seeing a few more distressed properties and I'm currently running 4 short sales. And so sometimes those have a different, there's a different reasoning. And then I kind of have that target price where it's my high, our highly suggested price based off of multiple factors. And then our stretch. And 9 times out of 10, I tell them this isn't the market for the stretch. But if we have somebody that's absolutely adamant, or if you have a unique situation, like I have a property that we just listed, that the stretch was for a retail buyer, but the odds were that we knew the offers would come in from the investors and would be more in the target space. And so like, do you want to wait to see if we get that retail buyer? And in this case, it worked out and they did. But I think the biggest thing is if you're going to do that, make sure you have a plan because this is not the market to chase it down. And so you cannot wait to invest. And you don't want to have like a bunch of small little adjustments. You want to have strategic. So I told one of my agents the other day, I gave her the exact verbiage and I was like, okay, tell them if you take this at this price, this is exactly what you're doing 15 days and 30 days from now. And get them to sign off in advance on those reductions.
Yes.
So it's a new conversation, right?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And just like you said, we do chunky price drops. We're not going to do 3,000, 5,000, 2,500. That does nothing in this market. And another really important conversation I personally believe is important to have with sellers is explain to them where the value comes from. A lot of sellers at my market think the value is what they paid, what they put into it. Yeah, and like down to the penny of their upgrades, and they don't want to take a loss, so they're like, this is what I paid, this is what we spent on the house, we want to make at least this.
So
no, That's not how this works. But explaining it to them helps them feel more comfortable with possibly not getting a 100% return on every dollar they've put into it.
So good. We have a visual that goes over like, maintenance and care and like great job you've taken care of your
Yes.
home versus like you've improved the value on your home, right? Because a
Yep.
lot of times sellers do in their head get like the maintenance of their own asset as like, oh, this is how I'm increasing the value. And no, you
Yep.
just took care of your
You
own asset.
maintained it. Yep.
So biggest takeaway is just remember that your first price is your best chance at your highest return. And if you can really help your sellers to understand that, you're going to be doing a great justice to them, and you're going to have more success on the listing side. I do want to talk before we wrap a little bit about what buyers are doing differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting. I don't know about if you guys saw this in your market. It's like we hit the ground running first of the year. It was like wildfire. And then all of a sudden it was like somebody just stopped the market and it got really, really quiet. And yes. And then it's like, okay, they're coming back. But the buyers are coming back and it looks different. So we're seeing that the buyers are taking more time to decide.
Yes.
They're comparing multiple options. They're being much more picky. We're seeing concessions, I would say probably on 60 to 70 of our deals. And I don't love this one, but I will say I think it's starting to do a little bit better, but last year was brutal. It's like they'll walk away. Buyers have like
they will walk away
right now, right?
Yes. And what I've had happen to me twice in the last like 10 days is a buyer is making multiple offers at once. We just lost a buyer yesterday. They offered on 3 properties. Their agent didn't tell us until after we countered, and they went with the seller who countered the best.
Wow.
That's what happens in a high inventory market where there's a lot of houses that are very similar. They don't have to choose just one. And I like maybe prep sellers to let them know we might not be the only house they're offering on. They saw 20 houses this weekend. They could be juggling several. We don't want to be very nitpicky on counters.
I think that's really good. I also think that when you say that, something that just immediately comes to my mind is that, like we are moms, we are women, and most of us lead with our heart. Like that's just how we naturally are because we're caretakers. But this is not the market for emotion. And I think it's so important that if your mindset already isn't focused on like, I'm here to deliver a fiduciary service and I'm here to be, like you said, that guide and that clear information, right? Value. You're going to have a hard business in this market because for instance, when you said that, like I immediately felt the emotion of other agents, right? Like I can feel that emotion already. There's going to be hate. There's going to be anger. Like, what do you mean you're doing that? And then there's going to be like, there's just going to be a flood of emotions and you're going to have to prepare yourself because your job is not to, and this is something I'll speak from my own point of view, but like, I love to have good camaraderie and like good, like flow with the agents I work with. And something like making multiple offers on behalf of a buyer, you're going to have to get comfortable with not explaining everything to the other side. And you're going to have to get comfortable understanding your job is not to make friends with the agent on the other side and to keep it cool. Your job is to represent your client. And so that is a really important conversation for moms, don't you think?
It is. And I will say too, as a listing agent, you can't get butt hurt. My first response back, I was like, okay, that's really clever. Can you send me the other 2 listings and let me know which one we lost to? Because I want to compare it to my listing and maybe use it as leverage for a price drop in a couple of weeks if we don't get another offer. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. Why wouldn't you tell us? Like, get more information from them to help your cause later on. Because and I was having this conversation too. Realtors, we're at a pivotal point where it's not the seller and the agent against the buyer and the buyer's agent. It's the listing agent against the seller, against the buyer's agent, and against the buyer. Like listing agents are starting to be on an island all by themselves, and you're needing to like mitigate everybody. It's no longer 2 sides.
Well, it's really a skill-based market, right? And the problem is that we spent years out of a skill-based market. And so I hear some people say like, well, we're in a bad market or we're in a slow market or we're in a tough market. No, we're in a market that requires skill. We're in a market that requires skill. And I will, again, just use myself as the example. But at the end of last year, I mean, I had deals that were on like their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th escrows. And it's like I had to sit down and I had to go, okay, what do I need to do going into 2026 differently? And one of the biggest one was remove the emotion. Like I have the skill. but I run parallel with emotion. That's just who I am as a human. Like I have the skill, but then I'm also like, oh, my heart is there and wants to like explain it and give detail and give context. And even this morning, I responded to somebody with a rejection, and I immediately had to just give the facts, give the facts. And of course, a little bit more information, but my job is not to equip them. My job is to just, and so I put them in a backup position, and that worked great. So I love that. So honestly, if listings are sitting, I would go as far as saying that, you need strategy. This is the market for strategy. And that you're not having price conversations, you're behind. And that's on day one, right?
Day one.
Conversation. That's what
for sure.
You got to reduce by 125 grand. Kayla's kicking the door open with the price conversation.
I am. I'm not driving all the way there. If we can't talk about this right now. He appreciated it.
Well, and that's the gap that closes between, the gap between the average agent and the agent that is successful and the agents that are visible, right? And I'm sure that you were visible to that seller. That seller saw something in you, something in your track record, something in your success, something in your marketing that they needed. And right now, this is the market that you have to show those things.
Absolutely.
Well, we absolutely love getting to chat with you, moms. If you are needing any extra support, I will do a shameless plug. We didn't even talk about this, but I have no problem plugging Kayla because my heart is like, I love all of our partners, make no mistake. But I was actually just thinking about this, and I was thinking about you this weekend, and I'm trying to think of exactly the context. But I was having a conversation with Jordy, and there's something different when you build from nothing, and when you come from like a different life. There's just a different thing, and I find that people kind of end up in one of two ways. Like they just end up building something so big that they kind of forget where they started, and then there's people that never forget where they started. And so I share that because Kayla's heart has never forgot where she started, and she's never forgot she's never forgot how hard it's been. And so I know I even struggled with this when I was coaching. I don't coach now, but I always struggled with okay, am I going to have a low ticket offering and I'm going to try to help all these people? Or am I going to go have a high ticket offering? And my coaches were always like, go high ticket. And it was just so unnatural for me. And Kayla has chosen to have a low ticket offering. And the reason being is because she loves empowering you. So will you tell them really quickly, how they could get more proximity to you and learn how to become those stronger listing agents? Or maybe they're already crushing it as a listing agent and already successful in their business. And they just want to be in a room that's having the right conversations around today's market.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to. But first, I'm going to give you guys 2 lead gen tips to get some listings this summer. A little taste of what else you can learn. But this is the perfect time to launch a listing challenge on your social media. Tell your entire audience that you are challenging yourself to do an X number of listings across the summer. It could be 5, it could be 10, it could be 2, whatever you're comfortable with, and invite them in to help you reach that goal. Telling their friends, their family, sharing your post, make it a talking head video from the heart, and you will 1,000,000% get business. And then number 2, if you've been in the market for a little bit and you have past clients, reach out to your past clients and send them a letter that says, I need your help. There is science behind that phrase of I need help. So many people, especially women, we don't like to ask for help. So when people hear I need help, they naturally want to help more. So send all of your past clients, I need your help, really big on a postcard with some of your business cards to pass out to their friends and family, and let them know your goals, and you'll get business from it too. And then lastly, if you would like some coaching, our Stay Bossy Lounge is a group coaching container. We have 2 coaching calls a month, every first and third Thursday of the month, and it's always jam-packed action strategies, good meat and potatoes, not just motivation, and it's only $47 a month. So if you're interested, reach out to me. That's my Instagram handle right there.
Yes, it is so wild. And I love this, and I love that we just get to create this space. So thank you for all that you do to pour into Moms in Real Estate. We love being in business with you, and we also love being partnered with you at Real. So we love all the things, and I can't wait to see your face soon. I will get are you coming to Rise in October?
I am, and I'm staying a few days before and a few days after.
So we are going to have a Moms in Real Estate meetup. So broker agnostic, doesn't matter what brokerage you're at. Stay tuned. We have one coming up. We're doing a moms. We're currently doing a Moms in Real Estate city series. We just did Florida last week in Miami. That was amazing. And then we have Cincinnati and Phoenix coming up, and then we'll have Vegas coming up. So can't wait to see all you ladies in real life. And Kayla, thank you so much, friend, for jumping on here with me today.
Have a good week, guys.
Bye.